entertainment, 100% electricity, 100%
Pipebomb Radio with your host, Felix Olmedo.
Be the man! You gotta beat the man!
Austin James.
And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so.
And Nate Milton.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Welcome, everybody. It is Pipebomb Radio time. I am your host, Felix, and joining me will be, Nate this time. Austin will be absent this week. He will try to come in later. But our guest this week, definitely one of the most interesting characters of the late 1980s, 1990s, and really of all time. He he had a presence about him that was unlike anything that you'd ever seen, but definitely it was somebody you knew that you had to watch because he was definitely interesting. And one of my favorite moments in his career definitely was his time managing The Undertaker. Anybody who knows me knows I am a diehard fan of the Dead Man, and I've always been, and we get to talk about that and so much more, and I look forward to bringing him on here shortly and talk about his start, where he's been, what he's been up to, and any fond memories he cares to share with us. I'm going to go ahead and I believe he is calling in right now. We're going to go ahead and bring him on and get this underway. Mr. Prichard, is that you?
That's me. How you guys doing?
Doing good, sir. Doing good. I am a big fan. I have been a big fan for many years, and I just love the work that you've done, and I'm just glad that you were able to give us this time to talk about your incredible career, because it has been a very incredible career, and I'm pretty sure you're very proud of many moments in your career, if not all your moments. But I will start at the beginning like most usually do, because I'm always fascinated to what people, where they get their start, what interests them, what catches their eye, what brings them into this business, because it's not for everybody. But you've definitely proven that you stood the test of time. You've been around for a very long time. How did you get your start, sir?
Well, it was all I wanted to do from the time I was 4 years old. I wanted to be a wrestler. I wanted to be in the wrestling business. And my mom took us to the Sam Houston Coliseum in Houston, Texas, where promoter Paul Bosch had wrestling every single Friday night. We had permanent reservations, which means we sat in the same seats every week. And we were just, we were those kids that were always around, my brother Tom and I. And we were willing to do any and everything to be in the business. And if there was a job to be done, we'd volunteer it to do it, just because we wanted to be, whether it was picking up trash or whatever it was, go get Cokes for the guys, anything at all. And an opportunity arose to sell posters one night, and I jumped at that opportunity. Made some good, decent money at the ripe old age of 10 years old, and never looked back. And I worked from that day on in the wrestling.
Nice.
Business.
All right.
But I've had a blast, man. It's just going up through Houston and working with the likes of Bill Watts and Ken Mantell and those guys from Mid-South, UWF, Jim Ross, and then on up to WWF land.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, of course, I'll introduce you to my co-host here, Nate. Nate, go ahead. Do you have a question for Mr. Prichard?
Yes. How you doing, brother? Brother Love, if you will. It's an honor to talk to you, sir. Big fan. And let's stay in Texas, because one thing that I'm always fascinated by is, people that have that upbringing, and people that, they're wrestling fans everywhere, but it seems Texas just has that thing. I don't know what it is, but it cultivates passion and it cultivates the fandom, but you also get great workers and great talent like the Funks, the Guerreros, the Von Erichs. What is it about Texas specifically that you think, has been such a blessing to the wrestling business?
Well, in a lot of respects, man, everything's bigger in Texas. So, Texas was a big guy territory. Texas was where, you had to have some size and you had to be able to perform in a different style. It was a lot rougher than other areas. But in regards to the size, you had a lot of different booking offices. You had Dallas that took care of Fort Worth and that area, Dallas-Fort Worth, and kind of Denton and a little bit of Oklahoma, and then they went south through Austin and Corpus sometimes. But then you also had Amarillo and Lubbock and El Paso that had a booking office on the west side of town, if you will. And then you had San Antonio that had broken off from the Dallas promotion for several years, and they ran San Antonio, Austin, Corpus Christi. And then there unto itself was Houston. And Houston was one town, one city run on a Friday night, every Friday night. It was a territory unto itself. And Paul would often use guys in the beginning, he would use guys from the Dallas booking office, but he always brought in his own talent as well. And he didn't follow what they were doing in Dallas. He did his own thing in Houston. And he had his own champions, he had his own angles, he did his own TV. We're there on a Friday night, he shot TV. Saturday night on Channel 39, and Sunday morning they had 2 hours the very next day telling you why you needed to be there next week. So Texas was a unique territory in that it had all those different booking offices, and yet Houston was one town that utilized the Dallas booking office, but it also utilized talent from all over the world, literally. Paul would bring in Neil Moskowitz. He'd bring in superstar Billy Graham, Bruiser Brody, and Nick Bockwinkel and different guys to come in and supplement the talent that he was getting from Dallas. So that's what made it different, man. That's why if you could make it there and you could hang there, then you could pretty much hang anywhere.
Very cool. And you spent a great deal of time there, obviously, as you mentioned. What was it that got noticed that the WWE was paying attention and decided to bring you in? And
I begged them.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I begged them. Yeah, I called them. It was one of those deals where Eddie Gilbert was a friend of mine, and Eddie had mentioned me to Vince, and Vince was like, "Well, have him give me a call," and I did, and the rest, as I say, is history.
Okay, and would that be that shortly there, that time after? I'd like to hear how they came about with this whole Brother Love character, because it was definitely one of the most interesting characters, I have to say.
Well, again, Brother Love was kind of an alter ego of mine that I've had since I was a young kid. Because growing up in the South again, there's the Bible Belt. You get a lot of tent revival shows that come through town, and also on Sundays, pretty much the only thing to watch. We didn't have 500 channels to choose from. You had 3 broadcast channels, and then you had like maybe 1 or 2 UHF channels. And on Sunday, that all turned over to the gospel, man. You had Oral Roberts, you had Jim Baker, you had Jimmy Swaggart, you had Robert Tilton, and that was it. I mean, that was your selection television. And I would watch these guys and just be mesmerized by the way that they captivated an audience and were able to convince people that didn't have a pot to piss in to send them their money while they were living high on the hog. And I just always kind of did the character. Eddie Gilbert and I used to sit up late in the Comfort Inn there in Bixby, Oklahoma, and take notes for promos the next day in the barn behind Bill Watts' house, and we would steal it from these preachers. And years later, it was on road trips, and I would break into what later became Brother Love, and I pitched the idea to Vince, because I hated.
And I bet he loved it.
God, how can everybody not hate these guys? And it just, Brother Love was born. And he was my vision of how I saw them. But I never tripped in religion. I never spoke about God. I never talked about the Bible, nothing like that. So it's
okay.
We walked that line. Stepped over it a few times.
Oh, very, very cool. I can definitely, as someone that was born in Atlanta and spent most of my childhood in Virginia, like Sunday was either wrestling or those preachers after church. You know.
Better believe it.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of that, did you ever get any negative feedback from religious people or some of those televangelists themselves?
We got, especially in the beginning, and the beauty of Brother Love was 3 weeks after he debuted, the Jim Baker and Jessica Hahn scandal broke.
Oh yeah.
And
my Lord.
He was made at that point. It was
it
was a beautiful thing. But yeah, we got quite a bit of feedback, and of course mainly from the Bible Belt, and people didn't appreciate us making fun of religion. But I wasn't making fun of religion. I was simply doing a character based on the phoniness that I felt existed within the televangelical world.
Yes, sir. And, you know, at that point, you know, through your time as Brother Love, so many times, so many memorable moments come up to mind, and two that stuck out to me the most was definitely your work when you were working with Sherry and with Sapphire, Juanita Wright, at the Royal Rumble, as well as, you know, when you actually started as a manager of The Undertaker. Did you actually see yourself transitioning into a manager type role, or did you actually already see that happening or eventually going to happen with the Brother Love character?
At first, no. You know, I never really did, but The Undertaker was a unique character that I wanted him to be the yin to my yang. And where he was just black, dark, and evil, I was white and pure as the driven snow, at least in my mind. And and it was just a good combination at the time. And you fall in love with characters sometimes, and I fell in love with that character.
Oh yeah.
Well, it certainly was one of the most memorable characters, especially from that era. But then, I guess after a couple of years, you moved behind the scenes. What was the decision to make in terms of going forward with that transition, and was it an easy move to make?
Well, the thing is, I'd always been behind the scenes, and I go back literally to being a teenager and working for Paul Bosch in Houston. I worked in the office. I worked behind the scenes. I got to work with the guys that were creating. I got to work with the bookers. I got to work with Gary Hart. I got to work with Buck Robley. I got to work with Walker. I got to work with these guys as they were coming up with TV. And so I was there already when I went to work at WWE. I went there without a job description.
Gotcha.
And Vince said, "Come on in, basically take a look around, work here for a while, tell me what you like to do, tell me where you fit." And started doing the international television and loved it because I'd always done TV in Houston, and just took it from there. So I was always behind the scenes doing the television and handling all those duties. And the talent was actually, that was just kind of for fun. That was the perk.
Gotcha.
That was the extra little thing that was a bonus to me. And then for several months out of the year is kind of I won't call it a bonus, but I'd go on the road, and that was where I really had a blast. But it got me out of the office at that point, and you just do everything by phone. Didn't have cell phones, but there were a lot of payphone conversations during those times.
Oh,
but
yes.
I was always behind the scenes.
There was a moment, too, if you go back, I believe it was in 95, 96-ish, you made a guest star appearance with a few other guys on the Boy Meets World.
Yes.
How was that for you, and what do you remember most about being a part? Because I don't know if this was the first time that you've ever actually been on another TV show other than WWE, and if not, just your overall experience about how it was for you when you guys working the show.
Wow, so you're the one that saw that show. That's cool. It was. I got to tell you, it was pretty cool. The writer of the show was a fan, and Leon White, Vader, was a recurring, character on there as one of the kids' fathers. So he asked, we were going to be in L.A., they wanted to shoot an episode, and they wanted to do it while we were there. I believe we were at the sports arena, and or Anaheim. No, God, I think we were in Anaheim. All I remember is Sean was pissed. But anyway, we shot it, and it was a blast for me. I mean, all I had to do was sit there and do commentary for the match, and they used what they wanted to use. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. They were a great group. All those kids were just nice as could be, and the production team was great. So, but yeah,
were you able to be on other TV shows as well?
No, never really did. And so that was my one and only entrance into the Hollywood world, if you will.
Definitely a great moment. I think because they have it on syndication now, and with the new introduction to Girl Meets World, you get new generations that get to see all these new episodes and so forth. So I'm not trying to age myself either, because it was 18 years ago, but there I go again. And moving on, you actually had a very, very successful, very long run through many years of WWE, and eventually you transitioned over into TNA wrestling and became, when I started to notice that you were actually there, I didn't realize it until you actually came on television, and you guys were doing the Gut Check. And in just your opinion, whether good or bad, I mean, did you enjoy your time with the company and that whole Gut Check, or was it not really your cup of tea?
I got to tell you, I enjoyed my time from working with the talent. There were other aspects. If all I had to do was creative and work with the talent, and not have to deal with anything else, it was fabulous. I had a lot of fun there, and I enjoy working with young, hungry talent, because they a lot of those guys were just sponges and they wanted to learn. So in that respect, that there wasn't a lot of pressure that way, and it was fun. It was a good time. The Gut Check, I mean, it was what it was. It was, everybody. We were shooting ideas back and forth, and that was one that was thrown out there, that we were doing Gut Check anyway in the live event, and we were legitimately looking for talent. So why not put them on TV? Because that's where we're going to need them to perform anyway. Let's see how they do, and trying to add a reality twist to it. Put 3 judges in there and, pick them live. And they were, it was 100% what it was. They never knew. They didn't know if they were going to get a job or not. Didn't have a clue what we were going to do or say. Sometimes I didn't have what I was going to do or say. So that made Dixie nervous all the time. Not really sure what I was going to do, but it was, it was something we tried out. I don't know creatively that it was the greatest thing in the world, hindsight being 20/20. But at the time, we did it. It did serve a purpose. We got some talent out of it, and some real storylines. The Joey Ryan thing, that was that came across because Joey, we had no interest in Joey. It was like, you know what, to me it was a dime a dozen. But when he cut that promo on Taz and me, I wanted to change my vote. I wanted to do a Ric Flair. Wait a minute, sir, I changed my vote. No, he was great. He was great in that instant. Man, he was great. So it was like, okay, you know what? We found something here. And all of a sudden, I thought Joey was a talented little sumbitch.
That's awesome.
Well, you talked about evaluating talent, and that's something that I've always been interested in and fascinated by. And it's, one of the questions that I always have is, how come some guys click in a certain place and not others? And one of the guys in TNA that I think has really benefited from a new environment is Ethan Carter, former Derek Bateman. Did you see the talent that he's being able to show now? Did you see that back when he was on NXT? And for whatever reason, why do you think that sometimes guys just don't connect?
Well, it's just what you said, a new environment. And being able to give him a new opportunity and a new lease on life in a completely different environment, I think really helped him. I'm impressed with it.
Definitely thrived.
His work's good. He's got great facials, and he can talk. So he's got the tools. Now, whether he displayed that on NXT, who's to say? Sometimes they're handicapped by, okay, here's what you do and here's what you say. I've always been one, to give talent, here's what I need out of you. And here's how I want you to get there, but I like for them to get us there. Sometimes you got to tell somebody every single thing to do, every word to say, every breath to take, every step to make. But the true talent, the guys that know how to get over, are going to get over, and they're going to prosper if they know how to, have an inch and take a mile. So as far as what it is, what differentiates one from another, it's really that it factor, and it's hard to put a finger on it. It's some guys have charisma, some guys don't. Some guys can connect with an audience, some guys can't. And it's that intangible it factor that will always make the difference. And you can look at guys that do blockbusters in Japan. Everybody talks about, oh my God, they're the greatest thing they've ever seen in Japan. They do all these flips and flies, all this other crap, the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
Then you bring them to another environment where they have to communicate and they have to engage with the audience and they have to slow down and tell a story and not just beat the shit out of their opponent.
Yeah.
Now, that's where the true test comes into play a lot. So it's that it factor, it's that just, charisma and guys being able to turn it on at the right time. Some guys get stage fright. Some guys can be the best thing you ever saw. They get up into a big show, get the ring, the damn bell rings, and they freeze. So it's just, you never know.
And looking back on your career in the WWF, up to even with TNA wrestling, what are some, maybe one particular moment that stands out as maybe one of your best moments, your greatest, most memorable, anything that stands out to you that you were like, wow, I really did that. I was really there. I was really a part of it. Holy cow. Any of those moments that stick out to you? During your career?
There's a lot of them. I mean, there's just tons of them. I'm 42 years in this business, working in it, let alone, and then longer than that, being a fan and loving, every day, being able to go in and see it. I still love it. I still love, watching the matches. I still get goosebumps, if a good story's told. For me personally, it was probably WrestleMania in Houston and going out in front of a record-breaking crowd in my hometown and working in the Gimmick Battle Royal. That was a blast to me. That was one of those, this is cool, being home and get to do this. So that was a good time for me. That was a blast. Just, little things. It's seeing Eddie Guerrero rise against all odds. I mean, everything was against Eddie.
Yeah.
And to do what he did and be as humongous of a superstar as he became. The whole Austin era. Everything with The Undertaker. I
couldn't agree more on that one.
You'll get goosebumps on his entrances.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, I interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No. I was just saying I couldn't agree more with the Undertaker because I've been a fan since he walked in and loving, although I didn't love the streak ending, I love, the fact that his character is unlike anything that was really ever created or may ever be created again. and the fact that you got to be part of that, I can imagine how much you loved that you got to be part of that. And
without a doubt.
I just want to ask, as you are not part of either one of those two companies, that doesn't necessarily mean you're not involved in the business in some form or fashion. So I want to ask, what are you up to these days? Where can the fans see you? If they want to, get any kind of autographs, or if you're doing any kind of meet and greet, Legends reunions, whatever the case may be, what are you up to these days, sir?
Well, March 27th, WrestleMania weekend, that Friday night for WrestleMania, Eric Bischoff and I are doing we call it a debate, and essentially what it is he picks one side, which is that of WCW, where he was the president during the Monday Night Wars, and I'm on the WWF side, where I was doing talent relations and doing a number of things with Vince, writing television and different things. So I take that point of view. And how this all came about is through the years, Eric and I became friends, and we would find ourselves at the end of the night after about 25 beers or so, and we would start talking back in the day. And he had his viewpoint, and I had my viewpoint, and they were just so diametrically opposed. And we would get in these arguments. Neither one was wrong, right or wrong. But it was just, and it was, wait a minute, when you did this, I didn't do that. This is what I wish.
Mr. Prichard, we kind of lost you there a little bit. Your phone went out just a little bit.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But it's just diametrically opposed. We already and we decided to do these shows and have a moderator. The first one we did was in Philadelphia, Royal Rumble weekend, and Chris Jericho was the host and moderator for that, and Jericho was off the chart great. The whole show itself was a blast. I mean, it was just so much fun. And the unique thing about it is that we take questions from the audience. So the audience kind of dictates where the show goes. And nothing's off limits. Ask us about the Monday Night Wars, what happened behind the scenes, what was going on. And, if you know anything about that Philly crowd, they can be a little snug sometimes. But I love it. And Jericho was there, and he called bullshit on things and dug in. We're going to have Al Snow on the 27th in San Jose.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And Al will be interesting because for the very same reason is that, we somehow forgot about Al early on, which was funny too. But Al would be one of the referees in the bar with us from time to time. And we'd sit back and I was like, oh my God, he's perfect. But it's a chance for the audience to get involved and ask us whatever they want. And I got to tell you, in all my years in the business and doing a lot of things, it was one of the most humbling experiences for me, because the thought of people coming out to hear what I have to say, it blew me away. The support and the fact that we literally sold it out and had standing room only.
I believe it.
It just was. Wow. It was really humbling and extremely cool. You sit there and go, man, I've been in Madison Square Garden and done all that stuff. I've done all the cool stuff that there is to do, and that was one of those moments that was, wow, this is really, really cool. And we're going to do it again. We're going to take it on the road, and we're going to be there at WrestleCon that whole weekend, signing autographs, doing our show, and got another one coming up in May down here in Houston, and just going to keep on going. So it's been a lot of fun. But also, another nice thing is working with Booker T and his group here in Houston.
It's getting really big out there. They're doing some good things out there.
He's got a wrestling school, and he produces some really talented kids.
Absolutely.
They bust their butts. They're hungry. They're respectful. They're just great. I can't say enough of what Booker's done with this group. And he does TV once a month here in Houston. He's got a show on every Saturday night. And going out and working with them and being a part of it has also been a blast. That's one of those things. It's still fun to me. It's still fun.
Booker is an amazing guy.
Yes. So we're doing stuff and having a good time with it.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
And
very cool.
And for those who want to keep up with you and your social media, and that way they can keep up with what you're doing so they can follow you, I know you've got a Twitter. You dabble a little bit in Facebook. Where else can fans keep up with you if want to follow what you're up to?
Those are the two main spots right now, and it's both Bruce Prichard on Twitter and Bruce Prichard on Facebook. I just kind of dabble in the Facebook thing. But I do check it.
All right.
I do go on there from time to time, but Twitter, I've become one of those people now. Actually,
change with the times.
In the middle of dinner, I look at. So.
Nate, did you have any other questions for Mr. Prichard?
Yeah, real quick, because when you were talking about the debates with Eric Bischoff, which I think is just a fantastic idea, one person in the wrestling business that's always fascinated me, and I know people have a wide variety of opinions on him, but you had the opportunity to work with him both in WWE and TNA, I believe, is Vince Russo. Real quick, what was your experience like working with Vince?
Vince is a talented guy. He's one of those guys that is very opinionated, and he's like a bulldog. He's going to get his opinion out there, come hell or high water, right or wrong. But personally, I like Vince. Never really had a problem with Vince, and he's a talented guy. But you think that sometimes his talents need to be harnessed and edited, so to speak. But
that's one way to put it.
It's real easy to criticize from afar, and until you've been there and walked in those shoes and done what we've done, it's different. And Vince has taken a lot of crap for things that weren't all his fault. Some things that were, but we all, good and bad. You got to take the good with the bad, and give credit where credit's due. But it's not always just the work of one diabolical person. It's Vince McMahon would, in the WWF.
I've heard you can do some pretty good impressions of the old man.
Oh God, but he's the boss. He's the boss. And so
yes, sir.
You have to filter through him, and unless he blesses it, it's not going to go anywhere. So you could be the greatest mind in the world, if he doesn't like it and bless it, it doesn't matter. But at the same time, if you can get into his head and you can get his ear, then he's going to use some of your stuff. He's still going to put the Vince McMahon spin on it. He's still going to have to bless it. Why? Because it's his show, and he's the boss. And until that changes, that's the way it's going to be. Somebody asked me a question the other day on Twitter about why does Dixie Carter do all this stuff and blah blah blah. I said, you know why? Because she is the boss.
Plain and simple.
Okay, it's that simple. If she wants to do it, let her do it. It's her company. So she has that right to do it. And again, whether it's successful or not, that's all left up to everybody else.
My final question for you, Mr. Prichard, is with the fascination now with this technology constantly changing all the time, everybody seems to dip into the idea of podcasting. Has that idea ever appealed to you? Could we have the Bruce Prichard or maybe even the Brother Love show come back on the air and you just bring on your friends or tell some old world stories or whatever the case may be, because everybody has different things they want to do with their shows and so forth. Could that ever be something that could be appealing to you?
I did it. I did a long time ago. You know, it's funny. To answer your question, sure, yeah, because I can talk a lot. But back Web Talk Radio, even long before, I believe, Blog Talk and a lot of other guys were even in the game. Gentleman out of Chicago, Illinois, that we had done our WWF radio with. John Layfield was doing a show, and John did a finance show, basically. And he asked me if I would do a show on wrestling. And at the time, I was down on the business, and I hadn't watched it. I just completely had gotten myself away from everything. I mean, I'd gone on a sailboat for like a month, okay? And just where we didn't even dock for days. That's a whole nother story. 3 weeks of my life I'll never get back. Hey, yeah, sounds fun. Hey, you want to go sailing in the Caribbean? Yeah, try doing it for 3 weeks straight. Okay, and when you do dock, it's you go into restaurants and they say, "What's your name?" And well, you didn't order 3 days in advance. Sorry, we have no food for you. But anyway, I digress. I did a show. I did a show for a while, and it actually, especially back in those days, it did well. And then I just I got off doing other things and wasn't able to maintain it and continue to do it because I was just doing other things. I was just doing a lot of other things. So, and then when I went with TNA, it was kind of a conflict, and I didn't want to rock that boat at that time. So, but yeah, you never know. It's fun, and I would, especially with technology the way it is now. Back then, it was very difficult for me to have a guest on because I had to call them and I had to get everything hooked up to the stuff, and it was just very difficult. But yeah, without a doubt.
Being the owner and the host of this whole program, I definitely would love, if you ever decide to and you ever would like to dabble in it, maybe work with us on that, I definitely would love to work with you on that if you ever decide to do that. The offers out there.
Very good. I'll keep it in mind.
We welcome you onto the network. You never know. Might have the Brother Love or the Bruce Prichard or the whatever you want to call show on there for you, and just let you talk about whatever you want to talk about, uncensored, unfiltered, whatever the hell you want to say. It's all you. But
very good. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, sir. On behalf of myself and my team here, Nate and my absent co-host, but that's okay. We want to thank you for spending time with us tonight. It was definitely an honor, sir. You've definitely, I only feel like we scratched the surface with your career because you've done so much. But if somewhere down the line, if the opportunity presents itself and you're up for it, we definitely would love to do a part 2 with you somewhere down the line.
We'll do it again, and if you guys are in town, if listeners in town, man, check us out in California. You get tickets at rfvideo.com, and we're going to have a blast, and we're going to hopefully take it on tour and do them all over the country.
Right. I wouldn't mind checking it out. I'll be down in San Jose, so we'll see what happens.
All right, man. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Well, there you have it, folks. The one and only Brother Love, from the man who says, "How you doing, brothers?" And then we got the originator of the Brother Love, and then the Brother, and I don't remember. I think I said that way too much, but you get my point. That was fun because he's definitely one of the people that if I ever really wanted to pick the brain of somebody who's been involved, he'd be one of the people that I definitely, it's him, Vince Russo, Jim Ross, Jimmy Cornette, and God help me if I ever get the opportunity to talk to the old man, I don't think I'd ever be able to survive in his brain. But, and I'm talking about Vince McMahon. I don't think any of us, because he's got so, let's just put it this way, Vince is on a whole other world, a whole other planet on his own.
Yes.
But from your take of the show tonight, how do you feel it went? I mean, I think he's definitely worthy candidate of a part 2. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, we just barely scratched the surface of his career. He's had so much experience in the business, and he's been in key moments. You talk about the Monday Night Wars. You talk about the Attitude Era. You talk about, TNA, and just, we could have spent 30, 40 minutes just talking about his time in TNA alone. So I think it'd be a great thing to talk to him again. And it was, man, I'll tell you, I was having a hard time holding back my Brother Love impression. I was like, should I go for it? Should I hold it back? Like, I had it ready.
I was going to ask him to do that too. I was like, And for those listening tonight, I do want to make something very clear with the guests that we bring on. We like to make them feel very comfortable. In most cases, some enjoy taking questions from callers. In other cases, we don't know how they would react, so we don't test it until we know when we bring them back. Then we give them the opportunity to answer questions from callers. I don't mean any disrespect, and for those who call in and expected to talk to Mr. Prichard, I do apologize. This was strictly just an interview one-on-one between us and him. If we bring it back next time, we will reach out and have callers ask him questions if he's up for it, just so you guys know. This is something where we wanted to give him know that he's comfortable, he can be on here with us and have fun and know that we're somebody we're talking to. But with that being said, I know there was some promotion for another gentleman who was supposed to be joining us tonight. I don't know. Austin said he would be calling in, and I'm thinking if he's been calling in and been waiting, if it might be him calling in now. I'm going to check and see because we've had a caller patiently waiting. I'm wondering if that might be him. This guy has set up an event out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and we're going to bring him on to talk about it. It's for a good cause, and, well, if it's him, we'll bring him on. Hello, this is Mr. Widener.
Yeah, this is him.
How you doing, sir? We got Felix and Nate with us.
I'm doing great.
Of course. How you doing, sir? Well, tell us a little bit about your event, man.
Well, I'm doing an event for the Fibromyalgia Cancer Foundation to help raise awareness for fibromyalgia hepatocellular, which is a rare liver disease, or cancer, I'm sorry. There's only 200 cases per year in the whole wide world. People are diagnosed with this, only 200 cases a year.
Okay.
Very rare. There's no cure for it yet, so we're trying to raise awareness. Well, we are going to raise awareness for this and raise as much as we can for research, because everybody knows research is expensive, and we're trying to find a cure for it.
Absolutely.
We got TNA Gunner, we got TNA Angelina Love, Earl Hefner, Jason Hill, Steve Carino, Roswell Express, Lizzo Lit Crew. I mean, we got just a lot of people coming to the show to support.
Definitely a lot of great sponsors, a lot of great talent showing up, and the date for it, where's it going to be, what time, what date, and how can I get more information on it?
Well, info, you can go to facebook.com//Signature Cancer. We got several things going on. Friday, March 20th, it's Rock Out Cancer Concert. It's going to be at the Rock Shop. And then on Saturday, we've got the Fan Fest and show going on, which is called Seek and Destroy. You're going to have 11 matches all day long. It starts at 12 o'clock at noon, and it ends probably, I would say, about 10 o'clock that night. So you got like 11 hours of wrestling. Like there's going to be a match every hour, if you look at it.
Okay.
Like all the funds that we raise that day is going to the foundation. I know a lot of people do a lot of fundraisers and keep 90% of it. And actually, no, that's not us. Where all 100% proceeds goes to them. So, we got a silent auction going on. Mick Foley has a autograph shirt that he sent us for one of our shirts. Vader just did one. We got a lot of people supporting us, like Mick Foley, Kurt Angle, Christopher Daniels, Rikishi, Medusa, Daphne, and the list just goes on and on and on and on.
Sounds good, man. And it's March 21st, you said?
Yes, March 21st. And 20th is the Rock Out Cancer Concert, and 21st is the Seeking Store Cancer.
Gotcha. All right. And if they want more information, they need to reach out to you on Facebook and your page, correct?
Yeah, Facebook, or they can call phone number. I mean, I can give it out if it's okay.
Well, I'll only say if it's okay with you because you're obviously the one that's in charge of the event. So if you want to, feel free.
Yeah, well, they can call us at 910-489-4582. Tickets available through PayPal with our email address. They can look up on Facebook or Twitter.
Okay.
At the Rock Shop, the Friday night, those tickets are available that night. The tickets for the Signature Cancer are available right now at the John D. Fuller Rec Center, which is located at 6627 Old Burns Road, right there in Fayetteville. We're looking to pack the house out for cancer, and destroy cancer.
There you go.
I got a quick question, Felix.
Go ahead, man.
If there are fans out there, listeners out there that would like to support this but can't get down there, is there a way that they can contribute? Is there a way that they can help for this cause?
Of course,
Very good question.
Of course, there's several ways they can do that. One, you can go directly to the Fibromyalgia Cancer Foundation website, which is www.fibrofoundation.org. I'll send the link, and he can share it with y'all, or I'll send it to Phoenix. You can send a money order, a check, to a P.O. Box, which is P.O. Box 756, Roseanne, South Carolina, 29576. You put the check out or money order to FCF on there, and what it's for, you put Seek and Destroy. And if you do a check or if you do it online through their foundation, it's tax write-off. We also have a donation jar at the show that people can donate either check, cash, or whatever. And the website will be up at the show so they can do that.
Very cool.
And the silent auction, people can go comment with a bid on our Facebook page. You just find the item you want. We got Ric Flair signed titles, replica gear, books from Shawn Michaels, glasses from Bret Hart. And that money will go to the foundation also.
Oh, cool.
That is very cool. And I'm glad that Austin was able to finalize this with you. And we, on behalf of us here at Pipebomb Radio, we definitely wish you the very best of luck with your show.
Thank you. Where is Austin at tonight anyway?
He unfortunately had prior commitments and wasn't able to make it this time.
Okay.
So it was myself and Nate running the ship tonight, but he made sure we were aware that you were coming. And I hope you enjoyed the Bruce Prichard interview.
Oh, I did. I always, growing up, I want to say this real quick about Bruce. Growing up with watching WWE and his own, I always loved him. He'd come out in that red, his white suit, like red face. He looked like an apple.
Yes, we remember those days very well. And like Nate was saying, he was holding back from doing the "I love you, brother" kind of thing. You know?
He had to be holding something back because that face was just bright red. Looked like the Kool-Aid man.
Yes, sir, it was. But we want to wish you the very best of luck, Mr. Widener, and we're glad you're able to come on and be able to promote your show. And everybody, I hope they have a great time. Definitely got a great amount of talent there, and we just wish you the very best, man.
All right, I'll we'll post the website for the Fibromyalgia Cancer Foundation on y'all's page, and y'all can share it. Okay,
that'll work.
All right.
But
you'll have
hope you have a great night, sir.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
Well, there you have it. Two great ideas out there. Well, two great, I should say. A great guest and a great cause. How about that? Can't beat that. And I have to say, without a shadow of a doubt, Austin missed out.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. You know, stuff comes up. You have to deal with it as it comes. And I'm sure he'll be kicking himself later. But I got to ask, as we got some time to kill with talking about Monday Night Raw. A couple of matches were made. A couple of situations continued. Overall, what did you think of Monday Night Raw?
Well, and I was talking with a buddy about this last night on Twitter. Like, this is legitimately like just it was an average show, man. Like, there were some good things, but the things that were bad were so bad, in my opinion. Like, I think the worst thing was the Orton stuff. And, you know, I've been saying it for a while. You know, the whole idea of Randy Orton teaming back up with these guys and then double-crossing them, you know, trying to get a bigger reaction, it was a bad idea because Randy Orton was never as over, never as hot as when he came back at Fastlane. Like, people really wanted to see him get his hands on the Authority and get his hands on Seth Rollins, and then they kind of undercut that the next night. The other thing that I hated, and I know you hated this, Brother Felix, what's going on with Sting's voice, man? You
heard that too. Oh, my God.
Yeah,
oh, my God.
Man.
I'm thinking, dude, what the hell? Are they trying to make him sound like a Hulk? Like Batman? I'm coming to get you. Kind of thing.
You know whose voice that was, though?
Like he's growling at us or something.
Yeah. You know whose voice that was, though?
I think they were trying to keep the mystique of Sting somewhat credible, and only old school fans. I really don't think these kids know what the real Sting sounds like. You get a little, you got a little piece, but not. You couldn't get the full thing because they just totally distorted his voice. I heard that too, but
you know
it's interesting.
You know what makes me mad though, Felix? And I agree that was part of the reasoning behind it. But I was reading something from Meltzer today, and he had asked somebody within the company about, you know, why they went with that voice, and apparently one of the reasons may have been that they didn't feel that Sting could cut a good enough promo. And I'm like, have you heard this guy lately? Like, that's really disrespectful in my opinion.
Oh yeah. On the same note, a lot of what Meltzer reports isn't always credible. I'm not saying that this is one of them, but in general, I've read some stories he's was supposedly reported, and them not to be true.
Yeah, you never know.
I hope it's not true in this case, but at the same time, you never know.
Yeah, like you never know when the company's trying to work Meltzer in order to work the fans.
Yeah.
Like they've done it before.
What did you think, though, of this whole Bray Wyatt Undertaker situation? Obviously, we knew the dead man wasn't there in the arena, but they made his presence felt. Do you think, because most people are feeling, is there any point to this now for him to come back? They're going to build a whole mystique about him like they did for WrestleMania 20. Nobody's heard or seen him since. And then he'll reappear, reemerge, resurrect, if you will, and face Bray Wyatt. Good idea or bad idea? And why?
I'm not going to say it's the best idea, but I think it's probably the best available idea. I think that it's hurt a little bit.
There could
by
still be
Taker
that possibility of what
there.
you said, though, man. That since Sting and Undertaker are on the same card, there's no way they can't not meet each other up, meet somewhere that night.
Yeah, they've got to have some interaction. It's got to be something, but I don't know. Like I'd love to see it, and I think it would only make sense to have that moment where, you know, both guys kind of look at each other, and then, you know, they just kind of give a nod, and then the lights go out and Taker's gone. And, you know, that sets up whether, you know, I don't think we're going to get that singles match, but at least, you know, I'd like to see a tag match next year where they kind of ride off into the sunset together. Like, I think that'd be a good way for both of them to end their in-ring careers.
Yeah, okay. I still like the idea that you gave with Sting having to battle the Authority and Taker coming out making the save and them planning out once-in-a-lifetime situation. Because in reality, neither one have nothing left to prove. One last hurrah, one last build. I know. They look at both men and look and be like, oh, they're over 50 now. They're not in their prime. But you know what? Whenever it came time for them to perform, nobody has stepped up as better than these two. When it's time to go on the biggest stage of them all, you want to go with somebody who has the experience to perform like nobody else. And these two are definitely beyond qualified for that.
I agree. Like, if you don't think that Sting is going to step up, I think that might be the best match maybe not technically, but I think it'll be the match that I'm certainly most interested in this year, seeing Sting and Triple H, because we both know that Hunter can step up when necessary, and Sting has always stepped up, in those big-time matches. So I'm actually looking forward to see how that match actually plays out.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the card itself is not the most stellar, but when they come with situations like that, I like to think that they're going to give us some big surprises to go off of, like the possibility of some legends returning, possibility, just for those big nostalgia moments like they did with last year with Hogan and Austin and Rock in the ring to kick it off, something like that'll get people talking, because that was a moment nobody expected to see, but we're really thrilled that they got to. And with the idea
I agree.
With the Battle Royal, and now they're putting in this ladder match for the Intercontinental title, unofficially the Money in the Bank kind of thing situation. The ladder match is a good add. The Battle Royal, I think it's just a way for the other talent who are not being used to get paid, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I do think though that they have the potential. Unlike last year where Cesaro won and nothing really happened from it, I think this year they have the potential to do something really cool with Damian Sandow, because if it's like him and The Miz and he ends up being the one that tosses The Miz over and wins the Battle Royal, I think, that's a ready-made feud that's going to, lead into SummerSlam, because Mizdow may be one of the most popular characters on the show right now.
Oh, without a doubt. If they don't make that match between him and Miz, they're missing the boat. That's another rivalry that's been looking ready to go, and it's going to happen. I mean, you would think that the idea of putting Cody against his brother is still something appealing, but I think that's lost a lot of steam.
Yeah, I think the match at
Fastlane, I don't see it happening.
No, I think the match at Fastlane, for whatever reason, Cody and Dustin didn't click and the fans weren't really into it.
No.
But I thought that had the potential to be a WrestleMania match this year. But, Cody's going to be in the Intercontinental Championship ladder match. And I don't know what they're going to do with Dustin. He might get shut out altogether.
It's a shame, because when you stop and think about it, most people, when you think of Rhodes, you think of Dusty. But automatically. But, I mean, you got to stop and think about it. Look at the career Dustin's had. He's had his ups and downs. He's gotten through a lot of demons in his life. And when it come right down to it, they gave him a character that was one of the most innovative type characters. Whatever the case may be, he took it and ran with it. And made it one of the most talked about controversial characters of that era. They tried to recreate it with Rico, but, I mean, there was only one Goldie. Goldie could do it like nobody else, and he did it better. Yep. And God bless him, he did the best he could with it during that era when you could push the envelope that far. Now, people are just too damn sensitive, and you want something bad enough, but when you see it, you get a little piece of it. Oh, my God. Go to hell, WWE. You suck. I can't believe you do this to us. We're just watching this, and you show this to kids. Get over it. My God. Don't get your panties in a wad there, people. Good grief. But
it's crazy, though, because if you look at Dustin, he's actually the last 2 years or so, in terms of his in-ring work, I could argue that this has been the best stretch of his career.
And I can definitely say he would probably give a whole bunch of that credit to DDP Yoga. That's added a lot of years back into his life, because he's been an avid user of it as well. He goes on those retreats with DDP and the gang, and he's more. He gets around the ring better. He moves. He's more agile, and he's not as heavy. He's lost a lot of weight, and hopefully one day soon, Goldie's character will be entering the hallowed halls of the WWE Hall of Fame. I wanted to touch on that now with the idea behind the Warrior Award. And the very first recipient going to Conor the Crusher. Most are saying, without a doubt, one of the classiest moves WWE has made thus far, or ever, by doing this, because Warrior mentioned it in his speech, and WWE and the Warrior's family, Dana and the girls, they stay in touch. The girls and Dana go to the show sometimes, and it's on the WWE's dime. WWE is going to take care of them for the rest of their lives. I'm almost positive of that. But what do you think about this? The idea behind it, the concept, giving the opportunity to this young man who touched a lot of people's hearts.
I think it's a great move. Like I am oftentimes critical of the WWE, and oftentimes they deserve it. But this is a really cool thing that they're doing for this kid's family, and I think that, you know, like if you just watched the video package last night, if you didn't even know about this story and just saw the 2 or 3 minute package they put together last night, like it's impossible not to love that kid. Like my favorite moment is when he's in the airport and he's with AJ Lee and he's like, "You just need to stop being so crazy." It's like how do you not love this kid, man? And you can tell. I
love the reaction she had with that, because her laugh was just, it was like freaking, she loved him. She loved him.
Yeah. And it's like
what I actually got a kick out of was seeing him lay out Triple H, and he was like, "No, I can't hit you."
Right. And it's funny because Triple H is somebody that gets a lot of criticism from wrestling fans, but like
I give him some too.
Like, yeah, I do too. But in a moment like that, man, you got to tip your cap to him and Stephanie and the entire WWE. I think it's a really cool moment. It's something that I hope they continue with year after year, whether it's honoring, somebody that is overcome odds, or honoring, somebody that's meant a lot to the company and meant a lot to the wrestlers. And great heartwarming stories like these, because this is the kind of publicity that I think, and not to say that this is a publicity stunt, but I think this is the kind of attention that this company needs, and less of kind of the, hey, we got a celebrity here. Hey, it's some random rapper or some random actor. It's like, no, I don't want that type of stuff, but I watch something like Conor the Crusher every week because that's real. That's something that means something.
Absolutely. And the idea behind having Wiz Khalifa perform for 8 minutes, I know it was mentioned on Facebook, yet the Divas were given 2 5-minute matches.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the point behind it. If he's a guest star, he's a guest star. Let it be involved in a story somewhere, or just come out and get a free shot at one of the guys, or whatever the case may be. But sometimes when they allow these singers to come on, unless it's a special event, like obviously the tribute to the troops, leave that shit off of Raw. They don't do that on SmackDown, and sometimes SmackDown has better shows. I don't understand the process, but,
Like, they could have left it at the Mizdow stuff and then had him come out and do one song and have Mizdow doing the song with them, and that would have been cool. But to have him do a whole 8-minute mini concert, like, that was just ridiculous.
Yeah. It didn't make sense for the show, but I guess. I guess for the most part it got people into it or whatever. Every now and then when they do certain concerts, I get it. But sometimes this is just one I didn't get. I'm not a big fan of the guy. I don't really listen to his music. I've heard of him, and I've heard of some of his music that he does collaborations with other artists, but that's about all I know. I don't really know much else about him. To be honest, I don't really listen to much of this generation music anyway. But that's neither here nor there. That's another story, as Bruce would say.
Because you're getting old, Felix. You're getting old, man.
What can I say? This generation has not been very good with their music, their movies, their TV shows. I stick to watching a lot of the old stuff I grew up watching or grew up listening to. As far as movies, movies got to really catch my eye. Like that new San Andreas one with The Rock, I'm interested in that one. Or even Furious 7 next month, I'll be watching.
Speaking of
I'm pretty sure all the girls will be crying their eyes out because that was, Paul Walker's final performance.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. But
real quick, speaking of The Rock, do you think we get a Rock appearance at WrestleMania this year?
No. Maybe via satellite. Ooh, sorry, sarcasm. Sorry. I really don't see it happening because of conflicts with schedule. If it's something, and he's a workaholic if I've ever seen anybody.
Yeah.
when he did the show The Hero a couple of years ago, he was filming that show on the other side of the country, flying into New York to do WrestleMania, and back and forth, and doing appearances and blah, blah, blah. And dude is freaking a workhorse. But, if, like I said, if by some slim chance he has even the slightest opening and Vince can get him, you better believe he will.
I agree. I think
but
maybe,
otherwise, no.
I think depending on, like, his schedule, because he'll definitely be still in the midst of the Fast and Furious 7 promotion at that time. Like, if he can fly in, or if he's in L.A. and just happens to stop in for a quick segment like he did last year with Hogan and Austin, that'd be cool. But like you said, man, he is so busy that, you know, he's definitely one of the few guys that have been able to transcend wrestling.
Absolutely. And the fact that he's kept his daughter hidden for so long, and to see how much she's grown into such a beautiful young lady. My goodness. He's done such a good job of hiding his child from the public eye. I knew he had a child, but I never realized how much time had gone, and she's a teenager now. Time flies.
Yeah.
My goodness. That's all I can say. My goodness. Overall, though, like you said, Raw was what it was. WrestleMania is coming. I'll be there live. Thank God. If there's ever one to be there for, I'd like to say that I wanted to be there for a lot of the big moments, and I have. You know, seeing I would have loved to see Randy be here to accept his induction, but, you know, I accepted, and I've been really good friends with Lanny for the last couple of years. To see Randy's induction into the Hall of Fame has been far overdue. To see The Undertaker's induction, which I know is coming, I like to think that after that, I'm going to give it more thought before I decide to travel as much, because I wanted to be there for these important moments for people that I grew up watching and idolizing and respecting, and Randy and The Undertaker and Flair and Hogan and Piper and Bret and Perfect and Dusty, and I can go on and on. I got to see all these inductions live. You know, the Von Erich family, Steve Austin, you know, it was awesome moments. Ric Flair's final WWE match at WrestleMania 24.
Yeah.
A lot of great moments. I'm very proud to say that I got to be there live to watch. But once my generation of guys have gone, I have to give it a lot more thought now if I'm going to go or not. Don't get me wrong. WrestleMania itself, if you've never been, go. It'll be an experience unlike you've ever been through in your life. And it's like a drug. You have to have more. You want to go again every year. And that's how it was, because I got to travel around the country, and I'm very proud of that I could afford to do that. And the places, one of my favorite places ever, New York City. Holy moly. I could tell you stories of the crazy-ass people that live there, and the daylights they scared out of me by getting just in the car with the cab driver. I thought I was holding on for my life. And the fact that these guys don't stop for just anybody or anything. They will, all of a sudden you hear a boom. What was that? Oh, a tourist. Sorry, dude. We're just, they're driving. And they don't stop. Oh, my God. And these guys, they have very colorful language, too. Let's put it that way. But it was an experience unlike I have ever been through. Going to Madison Square Garden, going to, the safe, what was it out there? MetLife, excuse me.
Yeah.
Train rides, the Fandango love that they had, the love affair with that Fandango song. Oh, my God. I wasn't on that particular train, but I was on one of them that did that. But, my goodness, I have stories I could tell you, my friend. Wow. Hopefully you get the opportunity to go to one of these WrestleManias, because there had been talk of one going to Minnesota in a couple of years. I don't know if that's close to your area or not.
I think the closest one that's been near me was probably the one in Atlanta a couple years back.
Where is it? Is Virginia up in the northern part of the states, or is it like in the mid part?
Virginia is pretty much the gateway to the South. It's like the Mason-Dixon line and all that stuff from the history books.
Gotcha.
It's like, D.C. and then Virginia.
So it would have been best for you to go to WrestleMania 27 if you could.
Yeah, but I am going to make plans to go the year my first WrestleMania is going to be the year Sting gets inducted because I want to be there when Sting goes into the Hall of Fame.
And it might be Dallas for all we know, man.
Yeah. I just hope they let him use his own voice for the speech, Felix.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that. But overall tonight, a great show. We want to definitely throw out there that next week we are bringing another WWE Hall of Famer to Pipebomb Radio. The one and only Handsome Harley Race is coming to the show. Yes. It'll be back at the normal start time. Nate, I'll give you more information about it after we get off the air.
All right.
But otherwise, yes, WWE Hall of Famer coming to the show, and a future one coming after that. And if you've been keeping up with our posts on Facebook, we do have a WrestleMania giveaway, and I just received the books in a couple of days ago. If you want to win your copy of Shawn Michaels' new book, you want to stay tuned for more information on that because we'll be giving it away live on the air. And with that, we've got Thursday's show coming up. We had to reschedule Dr. Tom. We were going to have the week of the Pritchards this week. Dr. Tom had to reschedule. He will be joining Oscar and Mo next week on their show, next Thursday night. Not sure who they're going to bring this Thursday, but definitely you want to stay tuned because you just never know what the hell kind of stuff these guys are going to be talking about. When those two go into a bantering back and forth, Mimi and I just sit back and just laugh and be like, I tell a girl, where's the popcorn at? Because these two are just going to go at it again. They're entertaining because, and then Mo's laugh, oh my God, that dude has a laugh that's strange yet pretty damn funny. But there's some good people. They're great people. I'm just glad I was able to hang out with them a little bit out here when Oscar and Mimi were here for their trip. They were here for 2 weeks. But yeah, they got to come out and watch, got to see Lucha Underground, so much stuff that they got to do. Got to meet them for the first time. But Austin missed out, and it was nice not have to have the authority thrown down our throats. Because he would probably be livid after seeing what happened to his boy last night.
I was talking to my good friends Triple H and Stephanie McMahon yesterday, Felix, and you don't understand that the authority is doing what's best for business.
And yes, I can imagine how much he would be running off at the mouth right now, talking about how much he just totally did not like Randy Orton for what he did, and he's going to get his, and the authority always gets his man, and blah, 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 blah. You know, all that malarkey he likes to throw out of propaganda, supporting the authority and all. God bless somebody. We didn't need to hear it this week.
We cut his mic out like Paul Heyman's.
I'm saying, and wasn't that a great promo, that dude? Heyman, he's got the gift of gab. And that's what they need to do for these guys. I really don't think anybody writes anything for Heyman. I think Heyman comes off the cuff. I really do. Maybe I'm wrong, and it's okay, but, I mean, he doesn't sound like he reads from a script. You feel what he says. I think
at best they give him, they give him points that he needs to get across, but then they just let him go because he is amazing.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that Bruce was talking about, too. You can't script something for somebody and just say this and say it like this. You just tell them, you know what, I want you to express this and get it across as best you can. It's like you said, either you have it and you have that charisma to relate to the crowd, or you don't. Different opportunities presented itself for different people, like Derek Bateman, like EC3, whatever you want to call him. He kind of flourished more so in TNA than he did in NXT. They kept him bottled up, almost, if you will. They didn't let him express himself the way we knew he could. When I seen, and he's right, that dude had the whole package. I mean, he's got a good look. The facials are incredible. He's just the pompous, arrogant SOB that you just wanted to hate, and he was gonna flaunt it and say what he was. And if you didn't like it, tough shit. But God bless TNA. Hopefully they get out of their little funk they're in, and they become more visible to more television viewers. But that's not for me to say because I don't watch it.
Yeah. And as we've established, Felix, we're old men, so we're not their target audience anymore.
Well, I don't know about you, man, but I'm not old. I'm just getting better with age.
There you go.
Aging like a fine wine, my friend.
There you go.
But
like
I was going to ask you
board,
before we go ahead
forever.
There you go. That's right. I was going to ask you, though, whenever you got that invitation, man, I'd love to come on your show and chit-chat with you and your buddy there and toss around some ideas that are not about the Authority.
Yeah, you
let me know when it's good,
invite.
and I'll definitely have to pay you guys a visit, represent on behalf of Pipebomb Radio. Got to throw in the Pipebomb Radio love, of course. And come on your show where you're king, man.
Yeah, the Kings of Sport. We do the show every week, myself and Marcus Vanderberg from Yahoo Sports. Right now we're doing our WrestleMania series every week. We talk to different guests, and this week we're talking to former WWE writer Alex Greenfield, but we have an opening the following week, Brother Felix, so if you're available, you got an invite right here on the show, man.
Just shoot me the details and number to call and all that kind of stuff, and I'll be there or I'll be square. Wow, I just aged myself again, didn't I?
Oh, what did Jeff Hardy say that one time on TNA? Be there or be triangular.
Yeah, he's definitely unique enough to say that. But I think that'll do it for us today. Austin, we'll be back next week. Other than that, I guess we'll just keep up with what we're doing on our social media that you can check out on pipebombradio.net. As was mentioned last week, not only do we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have Pinterest, we have YouTube, we have Daily Motion, we have just recently announced we have Stitcher, where you can listen to our shows, past shows through Stitcher. And
well, there is no excuse for not hearing the show.
And I think it was Austin that came up with this. If you're not able to find us, you're lying.
Yep.
But I think that'll do it for us this week, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and definitely donate to a good cause if you can. And on behalf of Nate and myself at Pipebomb Radio, we're just going to go ahead and call it a day, call it a night. Saying keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. Nate, I'll be talking to you soon. Everybody else, I hope you have a great night.
All right.